kitchen, we're going to be talking about how to fillet fish. This is something really important, especially if you want your wife to let you go fishing. Years ago, I would come home and I would start scaling fish, and man, my wife just didn't like that because the little flicks from the knife would scatter scales all over the place, and she'd be finding them days later stuck to the walls or whatever. And so I had to find another way of doing it. I discovered that filleting fish is a great way to go because you don't have to scale fish. You don't even have to clean them. And so what you would do is you would fillet your fish, and then part of the process is to lay it over on with the scales down and clean it off the skin. And what a simple way to do things. It saves you a lot of work. So that's what we're going to cover today. Now let me go through and kind of give you a little demonstration on how to do this. Now here's what we're going to do. The first thing you want to do is cut along the gill plates. So let's start the cut along here up towards the head. Okay, and I like to go behind this fin because usually there's not much meat there. So I can go all the way down there. Okay, now the next thing is you see where the dorsal fins are, and you want to cut just on this side of the dorsal fin. And the bones along there will kind of guide you, help you to take as much meat off as possible. Come down to the tail. Okay, now that we've got it cut, you can see that we can peel the skin back. I need to cut just a little deeper here. Okay, and then you want to start going along the rib cage. One little note here. As you cut along the rib cage, some fish you'll find that there's just not much meat there. And if that is the case, then feel free to just cut that part off. It's not a problem. And that's the case right here. So I'll just cut down here to the end of the rib cage. Continue cutting the meat off the bone. There we go. Cut all the way down to the bottom here. And then stick the knife out the other side and cut it off. Okay, so now almost. Okay, now we have our fillet, we have our meat here, and you want to take the tail section and let me get a flatter, bigger, flatter knife. I just grab the skin on the end of the tail, and I start running the knife back and forth. You may have to move up a little bit. And I'm missing some skin here. Let me get this started good. Okay. Now, as we go through here, it'll take all the meat off the skin. There we go. Just keep moving forward. You're putting your fingernails into the skin as you move forward to help keep it from sliding back and forth. And I'm all the way through. Okay, now I have a slab of meat, and you notice there's no meat left on the skin. That's really cool because on the underside of it you'll have scales. So you want to just take the whole thing and the carcass left over with that. I'm not going to do both sides right now. And that you want to plant in your garden because actually it's really good stuff and worms love it. And so as you go through that, you'll do real good. Now, one of the things you want to check is to see if there are any bones along here. Along the lateral line, there tends to be little tiny bones that are going into it, and when you cut it off, you still have those bones there. And you can either cut a little narrow slot down the fillet, or you can take them out with tweezers or needle nose pliers. So here we have our fish. You notice how it looks here. It looks really nice, and there's no skin, and then you have all of this meat. That's how you do filleting. It's a really important technique. It'll keep you friends with your wife because you won't have scales all over the kitchen. And when you're catching a lot of fish, you know, you bring home 20 or 30 perch or white bass, it can save you a lot of time. And be sure to put the remains buried in your garden. They decompose real fast. The worms love them, and so will your garden. Okay, now your assignment is go out and catch a lot of fish, so you'll need to do some filleting and have a lot of fun. We'll see you next time.